Let's talk about something nearly every Canadian has experienced. Passports. Little tiny blue booklets that say this person's super polite. Please let them into your country. Welcome to the Functional Government Podcast. Canada gave the world insulin, stem cells, the BlackBerry, and parts of the International Space Station. Yet for some reason, trying to renew your passport feels like snagging Taylor Swift concert tickets. If Taylor demanded your original birth certificate, signatures from two people who've known you since the womb, and a photograph where you look neutral but not suspiciously neutral, plus $160 just for the privilege of waiting. 2022 turned renewing your passport into a national endurance sport. People paid strangers $60 an hour to stand in line for them just so they could get them renewed. Passports, it turns out, are the perfect window to understand how a country handles digital government and public sector modernization. To understand how we got here, we need to go back, way back, to a time when a passport was basically just a hall pass from the Governor General. It's the 1860s. The American Civil War is raging, and Americans start asking, who are all those people walking across our border? So Canada invents the letter of request. It's a handwritten note from the Governor General that basically says you're cool and they should let you in. I mean, look at this thing. It's Downton Abbey fan fiction. It's a piece of paper, beautiful calligraphy, costs $1. We issued 50 of them. In 1915, we copied the British format for passports, which was just a single sheet of paper folded 10 times. A little bit later, we switched to a booklet format, but it wasn't until 1926 that we had a bilingual passport. Because nothing says two official languages like spending more than a decade arguing how to say passport in French. From 1947 to 1970, if you said you were born in Canada, we basically gave you a passport. No background check, no birth certificate requirement, just vibes. Our passport was just the honor system with a crest on it, making us the unattended bicycle of international travel. That's why the Canadian passport was for a long time the passport of choice for criminals and thieves. So in 1985, we upgraded it. We added machine-readable codes. We laminated it. We made it harder to counterfeit. All the things that say this was absolutely not photocopied at Office Depot. Applications back then were pretty slow, but that was okay because only 1 in 4 Canadians had a passport, and you could just use your driver's license if you were visiting the US. But then 9/11 happens, and the US says everyone needs a passport to come here now. And Passport Canada, an agency designed to run like a small, efficient office that prints booklets, is suddenly at the forefront of international security. That's like asking your local community theater to stage a production of Avengers Endgame. Same cast, same stage, same budget. It's not going to look very good. Passport Canada had no extra funding to do all this. And so by 2005, the federal government had to bail it out with $5.3 million. When the new travel rules were announced, it was pretty clear there was going to be a huge surge in passport applications. But we had years to plan and get it right, so everything went smoothly, right? Au contraire, mon frère. In 2007, when the new rules went into effect, demand skyrocketed. 170,000 people were waiting for their passports. What used to be a 20-day process was now taking 6 to 10 weeks. The government hired 700 emergency staff, relaxed the rules for renewals, and made it so if your passport had recently expired, you didn't need to provide as many documents. The crisis eventually cooled down, and so the government launched a huge modernization project called the PPMI, a crisp $101 million to drag Passport Canada out of the fax machine and postal era and into wherever all the other countries were by that time. And then they launched the program, and crickets. Data starts vanishing. Employees find out they can modify photos on already approved passports. I mean, I'm secretly really upset that someone didn't change everyone to Rick Astley or Nicolas Cage. Only 1,500 passports squeaked through the new system before it was shut down, and we went back to the old model, back to paper forms, back to envelopes, licking stamps, and hoping Canada Post doesn't lose your birth certificate. $101 million. And the only thing we proved is that the old broken system was actually better than the new broken system we just paid money to invent. By 2017, the modernization initiative was $75 million over budget and years late. That was, by the way, the same year that the United Kingdom let its citizens renew their passport online through a website. Things were going pretty well until 2020, when a global pandemic shut down travel. Applications fell by 95%, and a lot of staff and budgets were cut. And then, predictably, travel returned. Canadians stopped baking sourdough and watching Tiger King, and decided they all wanted to travel, all at once. And all hell broke loose. 2022 was the year an entire nation learned the value of camping equipment. People slept overnight outside government buildings, brought folding chairs and thermoses of coffee to wait in line. Some paid strangers $60 an hour to hold their place, which was way more than the people inside were earning trying to deal with all those passports. Some even faked travel plans by buying fully refundable air tickets and then using that to claim they had an urgent reason for travel so they could skip the queue. Sir, that is not the Canadian way. We're supposed to wait politely in silence, not commit light fraud to jump to the head of the line. But nothing says functional government like convincing your citizens to scam you. The backlog climbed to 340,000 applications. Phone wait times went to 12 hours. Retired employees were called back in, and staff worked overtime until they burned out. Meanwhile, people missed weddings, funerals, and long-awaited vacations. Look, it's the world's saddest music festival, Coachella, but instead of Post Malone, you get a passport in 6 to 8 weeks. By early 2023, the system was relatively stable again, but Passport Canada's budget had vanished. The money banked for future passports had shrunk from over $1 billion to less than $300 million, and the federal government had to bail it out once again. This was a time for new promises: a new passport, online registration, faster processing, and a dashboard so you could see what your delay was. But the dashboards aren't that useful. You see, Passport Canada measures performance as did we hit the 10 to 20 day window, yes or no. That's like judging your health by asking, am I alive, yes or no? It's technically accurate, but it's going to hide a lot of stuff. Are most passports done early or just before the deadline at like 19 days and 5 hours? 90% within 20 days sounds pretty good until you realize that 10% of those people might get their passports in 6 months or never. Are some groups consistently more delayed than others? What if the group that's taking more than 20 days all has the name Mohammed, or they're all trans people, or they all publicly objected to Canada's National Maple Syrup Reserve? The dashboard only shows whether or not the government hit the arbitrary deadline, not how many people missed that deadline. When, in April 2024, only 73% of passports were delivered in that time, the Passport Canada response was, well, we just missed it by 4 days. Look, 70% of us have a passport by now. They touch almost every Canadian life. They're time-sensitive, security-critical, and yet a 1998 Hotmail account has more advanced features than the Canadian passport system. Compare this to the rest of the world. Ireland starts printing your passport 8 minutes after you press submit on a phone. The UK lets you verify your identity by touching an app on your phone to the biometric chip on your passport. And Finland is starting to put passports on the phone themselves, just like your bank card. We just got online renewals for a trial group, a limited number of people each day. And oh, by the way, when you request your new passport, your old one stops working. Like, what if there's an emergency? Sorry, you can't travel because we're trying to get your passport to you. Imagine if your bank did that. When you order a new bank card, your old one stops working before the new one arrives. And for the kids out there, a bank card is a piece of plastic that old people keep in their wallet and tap and pay instead of using their phone. Oh, and a wallet is a little thing people keep in their pocket or purse that contains all their bank cards and cash. And cash is these little paper rectangles that represent money. After digging through Auditor General reports, scrolling enough PDFs to kill a virtual forest, and watching enough parliamentary testimony that the Geneva Convention would like a word, I have 3 pretty clear insights from all this. First of all, the funding model's all wrong. You're asking an organization that was basically funded like a lemonade stand to run a national security and identification apparatus. Second, Canada reacts instead of plans. The spike in applications after 9/11 was entirely predictable. The surge after pandemic lockdown, entirely predictable. You know what else is predictable? The fact that your phone has two-factor authentication, biometrics, and a camera, which might be important for digital identification. You know what else is predictable? That the 30 million Canadians holding those phones would like to renew their passport online or with that phone rather than dealing with paper and queues. Other countries are implementing digital identity, instant renewal, biometric scanning, and even passports that live on your phone. Meanwhile, Canada argues about how many retirees to hire back or whether you're smiling too much in your passport picture. We're not asking for Star Trek. We're asking for 2018. The world keeps improving while Canada stands still. 15 years ago, Canada was ranked number 3 in the world for digital government. This year, we're number 47. That means a quarter of the countries on this planet got better than us at digital government. Just once. Could the government modernize something before the rest of the world has moved on to the next thing? Because right now, the history of the Canadian passport is the most Canadian story ever. We're polite, we're patient, we apologize, and somehow we're okay with the delay. This is not just about passports. This is about the kind of country we want to live in. One that builds great things, takes infrastructure seriously, measures transparently, and creates the kind of functional government we all deserve. Thanks for joining us on the Functional Government Podcast.